Just realized I am muted. Welcome, everybody. March the 21st edition of Speaking of Zane. Glad to have everybody in there. Got Steve Shirley, Toby, my cousin, Andrew Fresquez in there. Lori is down the hallway. Not feeling too good today. And Ken's in there. Hey, Ken. Ken and I chatted a little bit earlier today. Good to have everybody in there. I know there's more of you in there, but I don't see you unless you put something in the chat. But it's good to have you there nevertheless. If you want to shout out, put something in the chat. There's Jill, Auntie Jill. Hey, Jill. Appreciate the birthday card. I sure do. Thank you so much. You are a blessing to our family, that's for sure. Matt Aaron is in there. Welcome home, Matt. Matt just got back from spending a couple of months in D.C., I think with one little interlude, but I think Matt is back for good now. More about Matt here in a minute. Matt, by the way, for those that don't know, Matt served with Zane. They were in Iraq together, and Matt continues to serve in the Michigan National Guard. So thank you for that, Matt. Good to have everybody in here. 136th edition of Speaking of Zane. 136 weeks we've done this. Most weeks, we only skipped 1 week when Charlotte and I were in Morocco. And I think that's the only week that we have skipped. We've done a few of these on Monday nights, which is okay. Which reminds me, I put a poll out there in the Speaking of Zane Facebook group. So if you are in the Speaking of Zane Facebook group, which most of you are, you saw a poll that I posted. And basically, I'm just wondering, now we've done most of these at 8 o'clock Eastern, but we've done a few of them at 9 o'clock Eastern, including last week. So I thought, well, let me see what everybody prefers. So I put a poll out there on the Speaking of Zane Facebook group, and you can let me know what you prefer, 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock. I think I'm in a position where I could do either one and don't really have a preference anymore. But certainly want to be in tune with you guys who really make up Speaking of Zane and what we do here together. So go to the Speaking of Zane Facebook group and vote. It doesn't mean I'm going to go with the majority, but I'm going to analyze what we ought to do going forward. No big change there, but maybe we split the difference and do 8:30. We'll see. But I'm open-minded. So check that out when you get a chance. Let me see if we have any others joined here. Jim Miller's in there, my buddy Jim. Hey, Jim. Jim and I go way back. We served together at RAF Mildenhall and had the same job, worked in the same shop, flew the same plane, did the same mission, and spent a lot of time together in the Azores too, didn't we, Jim? And those were some good times. Long time ago. More about Mildenhall when we get to the Thank a Vet section. But for those of you that might be listening who haven't been on in a while, or if you're new to Speaking of Zane or watching the recording, we have a lot of people that watch the recording on YouTube or on the Facebook groups. We have had a couple of guests recently, and they have been outstanding, and they have been folks that are sort of in alignment with what we're all about here at Speaking of Zane, and that's not just speaking Zane's name so that he's not forgotten, but making sure we're telling the story of those that have fallen or the veterans that have succumbed to their demons. And we've had a couple of speakers that are right along with us, folks that have joined us here on Sunday nights, and folks that Lori and I have talked about over and over again. Aaron Bartle up in Michigan with the Running to Honor, and Kelly Kowal down in Ruskin, Florida with My Warrior's Place. And I thought those were excellent hours that we spent with them, and we want to do more of that. I've got a couple of others lined up, waiting on dates, and then I'm open to having others on here sharing things that they're doing. It doesn't have to be. I'm open-minded to all kind of content. So if you have something that you think the group would be interested in hearing about, let me know. Let me know. And or if any of you ever want to share anything with the group, all you got to do is tell me. I'll bring you in right. I can bring you in right now if you wanted to be part of the stream. I could initiate that very rapidly, so we can be very nimble on how we do that. So if anybody ever wants to pipe up, if you have something you want to share, just let me know real time, and we can make that happen too. But certainly, if you know of anybody that this group would enjoy hearing from, let me know that, and we can work on setting it up. But good stuff. So let's see, what do we got going? So we have a couple more coming up, but let me know. I mentioned welcome home to Matt, and let's see. Oh, Jack and Caitlin, our youngest son and his wife, the last couple of weeks, I've mentioned that they've been out on sort of a late honeymoon. They went out west, wound up in Denver, getting caught in a big snowstorm out there, but they made it home, and we're happy to get back. And Jack's getting back in the back in his pilot training, and I think he's got about a 0730 showtime tomorrow for his flight. He's getting very close to soloing, so that should come over the next week or two, and then he'll be leading. That'll be leading up to his check ride. So, and then on to the next, whatever the next thing is there. It's a long path to become a pilot, especially to make a living as a pilot, and there's a lot of steps and a lot of stuff involved there, but he's well on his way. And on his way to getting his degree. All that's part of his degree program with Liberty University, so good stuff. But they made it home, and not only are they here, but Caitlin's whole family is here. They decided to, I think I mentioned this before, they decided to take a little vacation time and come up here and see what North Georgia and Atlanta's all about. So Caitlin, our daughter-in-law, her mother, and father, John and Lisa, just got here a couple hours ago, and her sister Hannah and her husband and their little baby boy, and then Caitlin's sister-in-law and her little boy. So I think that's about 7 of them. So we have plenty of room. Everybody's accounted for. Got a place to sleep. But they'll be here, I think, till maybe Thursday or so. They've got all kind of things lined up that they're going to be doing while they're up here. But they all got in a couple hours ago. I had a big old pot of chili and some cornbread on and waiting for them. And I figured I'd bake one more big pot of chili while it was still a little bit of nip in the air before it gets too hot for chili. So it seemed like a good time to make something that would feed a big crowd. So I got some of Guy's famous chili on the stove down there. And let's see, what else we got? Oh, I got the most wonderful gift. Let me share that real quick here. Bear with me while I poke around at all my screens here and get the right one that I want to share with you. Dun, dun, dun. But I got the coolest gift from Matt this week. Can you see that? Matt made that. Matt Aaron made that. And if you don't know, that's the 3rd Infantry Division insignia. That's the patch that they wear on the shoulder of their uniform. And patches are real important in the Army. Of course, the Air Force too, but in the Army they have the whole concept of the combat patch and all that stuff. So you wear your combat patch. When you go to combat with a unit, you will always wear that combat patch on your shoulder. But anyway, Matt made this for me. I've got it there next to one of my chairs so you can kind of see the scale, but that sucker's big. I'm not going to be using it as a rug because I don't want to walk on it, but just phenomenal. I might frame it. I don't know what I'm going to do with it, Matt, but I can't tell you how much I appreciate that. It just looks absolutely phenomenal, and Matt tells me that's one of 2 in existence. And how does he know? He made them both. But let me show you. Let me show you what it came in. So imagine this thing arriving at your doorstep. It's about, oh gosh, got about an 8-inch diameter. And I'm like, oh, what in the world? And my son Jackson was with me opening. He says, I'm not sure I want to open this thing. And anyway, we got it open, and and sure enough, there it is. It's just absolutely phenomenal, and I'll treasure that forever. It's a cool thing, Matt. Thank you, my friend. Good stuff. Good stuff. Now, if I can get back over, I'll take that off. Yeah, I imagine. Oh my goodness, yeah. I was thinking to myself, how did they get that? How did they get them to take that thing? But I know they ship all kind of stuff, um, uh, and probably have had some strange things go through. But thank you guys. I appreciate it. That's just gonna, you don't know what that's gonna do to my little man cave here. It's just such an awesome thing. So thank you. Well, let's see. I mentioned the time slot. Oh, and a hat of the week. So this is the hat of the week. So for those of you that might be new or tuning into the replay and haven't seen us on here for Speaking of Zane, we do a hat of the week, and I'm a ball cap guy, probably well over 100 now, probably 125 just here in my office. And I usually try to. Well, I'm always wearing a ball cap, but and I'm blessed with hair. My gene pool is pretty good. But I always wear a ball cap, and I always try to wear one on Sunday that has something to do with what we've been up to or what we're doing in our lives or as it relates to Speaking of Zane or whatever. And I mentioned Jackson was out in Colorado. He was out in Colorado, and they of course, he's a big airplane guy, as you might have guessed by now, like me. And they had an opportunity to visit one of the air museums that's on my list that I have not visited yet. I've visited most of the really good ones, and now I'm making my way sort of downscale. But Wings Over the Rockies is one that I've got on my list, and he beat me to it. And anyway, he bought dear old dad a ball cap back, so um, it seemed fitting that that would be today's hat of the week. So there you go, Mr. Pesic, who reminds me and monitors whether I mention the hat of the week. He'll call us out in the chat if I forget, and I've forgotten before, but not today. This is the hat of the week. Wings Over the Rockies. They do great work there. They do a lot of their own on-site restoration. They've got a YouTube channel where uh, their director of the museum or of the restoration out there, just a phenomenal guy, does a really great job on camera of talking about some of their projects and different things, and I hope to get out there someday. So that's the hat of the week. Let's see, what am I missing up top? A little update on my son Tyler. You guys may know our son Tyler's been with us for a couple weeks here as he waits to begin a program down in Florida, about a year-long program. Um, and I'll tell you, I could not be more pleased with how things are going for him. And if you remember, we've talked about him quite a bit, and there's been things that maybe we haven't shared about him, and maybe some things we've overshared. But anyway, um, he's our firstborn. He was born at REF Lakenheath when we were at Mildenhall in 1985. And anyway, that's a whole story of its own. But anyway, he's got two precious little kids that live down in Savannah, Saley and Colby. And man, we're just so hopeful that he's able to get a handle on things, and he's doing real well right now. I'll tell you, I'm so pleased. It's a tough thing. You get so used to deceit and lies and this and that, and you just makes you hard to believe things and hard to. But I'll tell you, at this point in time, things look really well, and he's working every day. He's working from 7:30 in the morning till 4 or 5 in the afternoon, busting his butt, working every day, working hard, and doing all the things he's supposed to be doing legally and everything. So we're at a good patch right now in our life with Tyler, and I mentioned it last week. I'm going to tear up, but I mentioned it last week about not giving up on people. And, uh, I'm sure some people would have had us just give up on them. And somewhere along the way, each of us might have almost given up on him. And fortunately, none of us gave up on him on the same day. But it's a difficult thing to talk about, to describe for people to understand. But anyway, I mention it because I don't want him to be forgotten. I want um, people to be thinking about him and praying for him, because it's not an easy thing. I know when you choose that life and when you get involved in drugs, a lot of times it is a choice, and you make mistakes and you make bad choices. But after a certain point in time, I'm convinced now, it wasn't always, but I'm convinced now that it becomes a disease. It becomes something that it becomes a physiological thing, um, and they have to fight it every single day. I mean, the in order to stay away from it, in order not to go back into it, and that it's I never really understood it, never really believed a lot of that stuff, but they have to fight every single day. It's so it be it gets beyond the point where they can control. I mean, it's a there's a physiological component to it that makes it turns it into a disease, and the choice now, there is still choice involved, and the choices they have to make have to be so much stronger now. I mean, anyway, I don't know that I'm describing it adequately, but anyway, it's just something that was on my mind there to share, but I hadn't planned on it. I hadn't planned on it, but it kind of cropped up. But anyway, just keep thinking about him if you would. Let's see. Veteran Cemetery Challenge. For those that are new or watching the replay here, we've been going on this challenge that Lori and I came up with. I guess it's almost a couple years now, um, and that's to see how many veteran cemeteries can we visit. Not just for the sheer numbers, but when we visit one, we tend to tell people about it. We share about it. We're sharing maybe with the next generation about the importance of why do we have veteran cemeteries? Why are they sacred? Of course, everybody knows about Arlington, and but a lot of people don't realize that there are thousands of other Arlingtons all across the country. Um, and So we sort of gamified the whole thing about, well, geez, anytime one of us stops in and visits one, let's talk about it, document it. And we had a couple of those this week. Daryl and his friend went out to Jefferson Barracks this week, and we can generally count on Daryl making a visit out there. I know with spring coming, Daryl, I know that you're going to get some great photos out there coming up before too long. It's just a beautiful place. I've been there several times, and it just takes your breath away. And then Jim Miller, who's on here with us tonight, Omaha National Cemetery happens to be on the travel route for some of his errands, and he's been swinging by there and honoring our mutual friend and fellow airman Todd Vanderwerken, who passed a couple years ago at Omaha National. So, Jim, thank you for swinging by there. So we had a couple of visits this week for a total of 382. 382 times somebody from this group has visited a national cemetery, and we've done that at 126 or so different cemeteries. And how do I know that? Well, because I've documented all of them. Well, at least every one that I know about. And this is the most current map here. You can go to the Speaking of Zane Cemetery Challenge map, Veteran Cemetery Challenge, I think it's called. And you can see how we've plotted all the different cemeteries that we visited. Here we go. We'll zoom in. There's several in the Omaha vicinity, including Omaha National. So if we click on that, we'll probably see, there we go, Omaha National. So anyway, it's kind of a fun little map that I put together, and every time we have a new cemetery, I will plot it on the map, and it's just kind of fun to keep track of. Oh, and also, like I will plot like who visited, what the date was, and who visited. Let's see, there's Arizona veterans. Steve and Kathy visited. See, so it's kind of cool. You can do that kind of stuff these days. So good stuff there. So thank all of you guys that do that. I hope you find it a treat to go visit these places. I tell you, they're so fascinating to me, being a history guy. And of course, now having a son that rests in one, no doubt about it, makes it a whole different experience for us. But the history of these national cemeteries, even the new ones, how did they come about? Who was the president when they were, opened, and all the historical aspects, the where they're at, the location, the geography, the topology, all those things, the history of them is just, to me, fascinating. Every national cemetery has some things in common, but then they have so many other things that make them unique and different, and that's why they're so fun to visit, at least for me. And you guys some of you must agree, because many of you have visited and continue to visit them, and I think that's a good thing for the next generation for us to share that kind of thing with. So good stuff there. And let's see, moving on to the Thank a Vet Challenge. So we've had several this week. I don't know if Aunt Paula's in there or not. Aunt Paula, are you there? If you are, raise your hand, put something in the chat there. But she had a good week, as she often has had in the past. And she had, get ready for this, Aunt Paula she thanked 3 Army vets, 2 Navy vets, and an Air Force vet this week. So how about that? So that was 3, 4, 5, 6 for Aunt Paula alone. Ken thanked an Air Force vet and an Army Vietnam vet. Ken got 2 in this week. And then my friend Amanda, who often joins us here on Sunday night and is going to be a guest of ours. She's going to tell her fascinating story of her life. Well, as much as we can cram into an episode of Speaking of Zane, because it's a fascinating life she's had. But she thanked 3 vets while she was at Moffitt Cancer Center last week, getting one of her routine appointments there. And then I had an interesting exchange with an Air Force vet at the Kroger yesterday. I was moving on toward to the meat area, and this man was looking. I could tell this man was looking at me, and he stopped me and he said, he saw my had a hoodie on that said American Veteran or something, and he says, "Well, what branch were you in?" And I said, "I was in the Air Force." He says, "Oh, me too." He said, "Where were you based at?" And I told him, Keesler, Offutt, Mildenhall, Offutt. And he says, "You got to be kidding. I was at Mildenhall." "When were you at Mildenhall?" I said, "I was at Mildenhall in the 80s. He says, "You got to be kidding. I was too." So we had overlap there, both stationed at RAF Mildenhall at the same time. And anyway, he had something to do with some of the systems on C-130s, and we had a lot of C-130s come through there, of course. And anyway, so we had a good chat, probably talked 5 or 10 minutes, and turns out he married and is still married to, after all these years, a gal from Norwich, England. So you never know who you're going to bump into. I'll tell you that. It's a small world. But I had a great chat. He's probably, in addition to Amanda's sister Ingrid, this guy was probably maybe the fourth other person that I've met along the way that was stationed at Mildenhall at the same time, and it's always an interesting conversation. But good stuff there. So if we add all of that up, we've got 12 new ones for the week. Make it 13 because Lori just said she thanked a state trooper. So that'll be 13 for the week, which takes us up to 742. So 742 times somebody has heard from someone in this group, thank you for serving, or I appreciate you. And boy, wouldn't that be a good thing? If that was the only thing that came out of speaking to Zane, I would consider it a good thing. But good stuff. All right, so 742 times. Let me catch up with the chat here. Make sure, first of all, that I haven't left anybody out. Daryl, okay. Yeah, so Daryl, that Jefferson Barracks National Cemetery just outside of St. Louis, Missouri is just, it's so many deer running through there. It's just so amazing. Every single time I've been there, there's been deer, and Daryl goes every week, and there's deer. But it's just a fascinating place. I'll tell you, at Georgia National Cemetery, where Zane is buried, we've seen a mixture of deer and turkey. We've seen a lot of wild turkeys out there. And it's kind of out, it's secluded. It's out in the woods on the top of a hill, and just a very interesting place. Let's see. So Lori got the state trooper. And let's see. Matt said, forgot to mention, I parked next to someone with a second ID sticker. I wrote a note and left it on his windshield. Well, how about that? That's probably the first case, Matt, where it's been a thank you by note. Good stuff. Yeah, turkey and quail. It's been rare to see a deer out there. I have seen a couple on the way in at Georgia National, but a lot of turkey running through the woods up there. Well, good, Matt. Well, I'll add your thank you to the second ID veteran there, and change our values here to 14 for the week and 743 for our total count. Good stuff. Good stuff. So you guys continue to play right along with us on our Veteran Cemetery Challenge and our Thank a Vet Challenge, and I appreciate you guys for doing that. It's almost really become second nature to just tell someone who has served or is serving, thank you. They're certainly not going to get it from a lot of people. And I don't know, on purpose, and then they're not going to get it from a lot of people just because they don't think about it. I mean, we've probably never had as small a percentage of folks serving relative to the general population as we do now. I think it's pretty relatively small percentage. A lot of people they don't have a direct connection. They're not tied to anyone that has served in the military or is serving, and that makes it almost a little bit abstract for some people. But good stuff there. Thank you guys for playing along with us. I appreciate it. And don't really have any updates on the organizations. Probably the next, if I were to look out, probably some of the biggest things we would have coming up that we would tell the group about or promote to the group or be involved in that's sort of noteworthy will be Memorial Day. Most of these national cemeteries, and not just national cemeteries, state cemeteries, others, will have Memorial Day flag placements. We're sort of anxious to see how that's going to go this year, but it is a sobering and somber day of recognition, Memorial Day, dedicated to those who have fallen. So that's a big event at most national cemeteries. And then in July, we're going to participate, and we'll create a team once again for the Running to Honor 5K that our friend Aaron Bartle heads up. We had him on a couple weeks ago, and we'll participate in that virtually all across the country. And then we'll move on through as things come up. We'll certainly shout out, and you guys share things that you're doing as well, and let us know about those things. All right, let's see. We did have a a couple of, we always talk about heroes that we've lost or that were wounded or whatever, whether in combat or training for combat. And we did have, Katie mentioned it at the last part of Speaking of Zane last week. There was a soldier who was found dead by his roommate there in Washington, D.C. The week before last. And Katie, thanks for posting that. That was Specialist Justin Grinnell of the New York National Guard. And I don't know what the cause of death was. I don't know that they've stated, but they didn't suspect any sort of foul play or anything. And then I read about this and I thought I saw that this sheriff was killed, but he was not killed. But down in Volusia County, Ken, down in Volusia County, Sheriff Michael Chitwood, he's the sheriff of the county. He was out riding his bicycle. He was out riding his bicycle on his day off or after work or something, and got hit by a driver who was on Amazon on her phone. And anyway, and she hit and run. Anyway, they caught her, but evidently the sheriff, I saw an update, is recovering with had broken bones or something, but seems to be doing okay. But anywho, let's see what else I've got here. I wanted to share. I mentioned the poll. I was going to share. Let me show you the poll here. So if you go to Speaking of Zane to the Facebook group, this is what the poll looks like. It looks like about, I need to refresh it, but a number of you have already placed your vote there. So go do that, and or tell me in the chat if you want to tonight, or however you want to, and we'll take a look at that and see. I want to do what's best for the group. So cool stuff there. And then one other thing, I kind of got away from this in recent weeks, but I had some time today to look at Zane's Facebook page, and I've been pulling up, Facebook memories and stuff over the years, and so I decided to do that today, and I found a very interesting one, a post that he made. Let me collapse that banner real quick. In March, on this, actually March 23rd of 2015 would have been his last march on the earth. But anyway, he posted this, which is just so Zane. I found no matter what life throws at me, music softens the blow. And he absolutely took solace in his music, and I just wish he was around to be playing. I mean, it's just he had so many more songs in him and so many more experiences. Just a talented guy with just an incredible love for, especially the guitar. But I just thought this was the most applicable post when I went searching today for posts that he made in the month of March. This happened to be March of 2015. So very interesting indeed. All right. Well, let's see. I think I'm close to the end. Let me look in the chat here and see if anybody has anything that they want. Yeah, Ken, thanks for that. Yep, I saw that. Ken, that reminds me, Ken and I chatted a little bit today. Ken was actually over. Ken sent me a picture of the sign of My Warrior's Place in Ruskin, Florida. Ken was over in Ruskin, and unfortunately, Ken's family member of Ken is going through some health issues, which is the reason Ken was over there. But Ken, at least now I know Ken knows where My Warrior's Place is, and Ken, I know that Kelly would love to host you and Janet over there sometime, and Lori and I have stayed there, and we'll do it again. But pray for Ken and his wife Janet and their family member as they go through some health issues. And Ken, you let us know if there's anything we can do. Like I said today, especially in Tampa, I have a lot of friends in Tampa that will stop what they're doing to help you if there's anything you need. So let us know. Matt, March Madness. Yes, I'm in a pool at work, and I'm currently in first place. There's only about 25 people in the pool, I think. Not a very big pool, but I'm currently in first, believe it or not. What about you? How are you doing, Matt? Let's see. Let me look at my notes here while we wait for Matt to give us an update on that. And while he's doing that, I'm basically done for the week. So when you go out into the week, if you see a veteran or a military member, service member, or their family, tell them thank you, because you don't know if anybody's going to tell them if you don't. And you don't know what impact you might have on them if you just say, hey, I appreciate what you're doing. And that would be a good thing. And check on your buddies. I cannot overstate the potential, at least, benefit of checking on those you served with or checking on folks that you know served. Just the fact that somebody reached out to you to check on you could be all it takes for somebody to say, wait a minute, somebody does care. And sometimes you may never know, sometimes you might. But anyway, I'll challenge you to check on somebody this week. Just check in, especially if there's somebody you hadn't heard from in a while, and maybe somebody that's in one of the, in a demographic that's susceptible to the the weight of life and what it brings. But anywho, well, thank you everybody for joining, and I'll look forward to seeing everybody next week. We've got a busy house, a full house. I'm going to try to get a full week's work week worth of work in here from my home office with people coming and going. But I've got my own little end of the house here with a doorway and everything, so shouldn't be any problem whatsoever. And glad that we could host them up here while they are visiting the beautiful city of Atlanta and points north. I think they're going to run up to the mountains and do some other things, so should be great. But good to see everybody tonight. I tell you what, to have you guys show up week after week just to listen to this guy talk about his son and not do that very well is heartwarming to us, and it's therapeutic to us, and hopefully you guys receive a small portion of the benefit that we do. So thank you all so much. We love you, and we'll look forward to seeing everybody next Sunday night for Speaking of Zane. We will be in April, won't we? I think we will. We're getting real close. Talk to you then. Bye-bye, everybody.